In New Zealand, there are more species of penguins than anywhere else. For these penguins to flourish, their offspring must grow up in some of the most treacherous locations imaginable. Penguin parenthood is fraught with perils that must be met head-on if their chicks are to survive. In the southwest corner of New Zealand lies Fiordland, 1.25 million hectares of rugged wilderness. Dramatic fjords, carved by ancient glaciers, allow the sea to penetrate deep into the rugged interior. Milford Sound is one such fjord, and it's home to some unique residents. This is a Fiordland crested penguin. His mate's been foraging at sea for the last 3 months, and now they are about to reunite. Fiordland cresteds kick off their breeding cycle in the middle of winter, the earliest of any New Zealand penguin. She hears her partner's familiar call. He's arrived early and already secured a burrow. They reunite with an ecstatic display. And immediately begin to build a nest. Fiordland crested penguins often form lifelong monogamous bonds, which is just as well. Their breeding strategy requires them to stop eating for weeks at a time, which will test their partnership to the limit. "660 kilometers further south from Fiordland, in the chilly Southern Ocean, lie the Auckland Islands. These subantarctic islands are the weathered remains of 2 ancient volcanoes, which provide a safe haven in the savage seas for numerous species of wildlife. But in winter, only the hardiest creatures remain. This is one of them, the yellow-eyed penguin. Named for its distinctive eyes and headband, it's one of the rarest penguins on the planet. For much of the year, yellow-eyeds are not particularly social penguins. But during the winter month of July, the 600 birds on Enderby Island must seek their mates. Many return to their same partner from last year, with some romances known to last for 13 seasons. These two are a little tentative, but the future of this endangered species depends on penguin partnerships producing as many chicks as possible. On New Zealand's South Island east coast, even in winter, the climate is kinder. And with a bountiful hunting ground on the back doorstep, this could be a penguin paradise. As dusk falls, the locals arrive home from a day's fishing. Little blue penguins raft ashore in their hundreds. Each standing less than 30 centimeters tall, these are the world's tiniest penguins. They're also the most nocturnal and only come ashore at night, always in a group for safety. Little blues are New Zealand's most numerous penguin. And unlike their yellow-eyed cousins, they are very social. Tonight, it seems the breeding season is about to start. The males signal their intention by calling for mates. But, just like a nightclub, it's hard to be heard over the background noise from the sea. Little blues are known for the raucous soundtrack to their mating ritual. These couples have identified each other as potential mates. And their courtship is off to a good start. About 160 kilometers north of Oamaru, a giant fist of rock juts out into the Pacific Ocean. The mighty Banks Peninsula was once an active shield volcano and now dominates the flat coastal plains. Its many hidden bays provide sanctuary for a wealth of marine life. And Flea Bay is home to a colony of very close cousins of the little blue penguin. This is a white flippered penguin. They're almost identical to little blues, apart from the white stripe which runs along the edge of each flipper. Like their close cousins, white flippered penguins are quite social. But there are far fewer of them. Just 10,000 compared to 100,000 little blues. And the Canterbury coast is the only place they are found anywhere in the world. This young female is in no hurry to mate, as her breeding season doesn't begin for another month. So today, like every day, she and the rest of her clan begin their grueling daily climb up a 45-meter cliff to reach the safety of their burrows. Back in Fiordland, in Milford Sound, the Fiordland crested penguin couple prepare their nest for the imminent arrival of eggs. It's the male who does most of the twig collecting, and his mate always shows her appreciation. Outside Milford Sound, on the wild coast, Fiordland crested penguins also make their homes. This pair return home from hunting in the ocean and make their way to their burrow. Unlike their cave-dwelling cousins inside the fjords, the coastal penguins have chosen to nest amongst the vegetation. A raucous cacophony heralds the start of mating. While life is good for now, this year, Mother Nature will change the rules. It's not these penguins' parenting skills that will determine the fate of their young. but the fickleness of the weather. It's August now in Fiordland, and winter releases its icy grip earlier than usual this year. In the Fiordland crested penguin coastal colony, it's time for incubation. And it's the males who take the first shift. Tucked beneath each penguin are 2 precious eggs. These stay-at-home dads will keep their eggs warm for about 14 days, while their mates fish at sea. This is the longest egg-minding rotation of all the New Zealand penguin species. Inside the fjord, the Milford Sound male is also on nest duty, relying on his body reserves for 2 weeks, while his mate fattens up for her incubation shift. All around, countless waterfalls deliver massive volumes of fresh water into the fjords. It sits on top of the salt water, where it forms a dark layer, which blocks out the sunlight. These inky depths guard some of Fiordland's greatest treasures. Rare cold water corals, hundreds of years old. Sea pens, which filter microscopic plankton from the water. And fields of strawberry sea cucumbers, which add a splash of colour to the fjord floor. Down here is an entire ecosystem adapted to the twilight zone. Schools of countless triple-fin fish congregate. So there's enough food inside the fjord that these penguins don't need to swim out to sea. But on the coast, an El Niño weather cycle is pushing the productive fishing zone away from land. This means the penguins nesting here will have to swim a lot further to find food. The stakes are high, because soon they will have hungry mouths to feed. On New Zealand's east coast, the brewing El Niño causes the sea around Banks Peninsula to cool more than usual, which is perfect for cold water fish like red cod and slender sprat, and the penguins that hunt them. With bellies full from a day's fishing, the white-flippered penguins struggle ashore, and now must begin their daily cliff climb to reach their nesting burrows. Why these seabirds, which are so awkward on land, choose such difficult-to-reach homes is a paradox of the natural world. These cliffs are also home to spotted shags, who nest where even intrepid penguins dare not climb. Having wings that work gives them a clear advantage, of course. In the late afternoon light, the shags begin their flamboyant courtship ritual. Once the formalities are done, they begin to build a nest. But down by the sea, the penguins are having a harder time reaching their nests. This penguin appears to have injured his foot in a fall from the cliff. Life here can be harsh, and few penguins get a second chance. But as his neighbors begin their evening ascent, it seems to motivate him. And as dusk falls, against the odds, the injured penguin is back on the cliff. But he just can't find traction. As it gets darker, other penguins surround him, as if to keep a vigil. It's possible one nest will fail this year. Far to the south, the Auckland Islands present quite different nesting conditions. A forest of stunted rata trees, groomed low by the prevailing winds, provides perfect cover for penguins. Having reaffirmed their bond from last season, this yellow-eyed pair now search for a nest site. It needs to provide protection from the brutal elements and keep eggs and chicks hidden from predators. This little hollow is perfect. While the female settles in, the male takes the opportunity to go fishing. But on the way to the beach, he runs into a roadblock. Young male sea lions who base themselves on Enderby Island all year round are becoming increasingly obnoxious with the changing season. The penguins are right to be afraid. Sea lions do eat penguins. But, fueled by testosterone, it seems the unruly mammals are more interested in fighting each other. The penguin sees the opportunity to slip by. Crossing the beach is only going to become more challenging from here on. On the Oamaru coast, a pair of little blue penguins also search for a nest. This wooden box might be a good option. The female inspects inside and approves. But discovering the wooden nest box is no accident. It just so happens that Oamaru's little blue penguin colony is right on the doorstep of a city. When humans built this city on the coastline just 150 years ago, the penguins refused to move on. In fact, some penguins moved into the city, utilizing urban nooks and crannies for homes. An old ventilation shaft provides excellent shelter. And this penguin's mate is waiting inside. Perhaps he ate too much fish at sea today. Here in Oamaru, people and penguins have come to a mutual agreement. Young birds seem to have an insatiable curiosity with their human neighbors, although they do occasionally take fright. But urban living presents these wild penguins with dangers they've not evolved to deal with. On the dark streets of a New Zealand coastal city, a little blue penguin has learned how to avoid certain death. Fortunately, the residents of Oamaru also know to drive slowly at night and look out for their penguin neighbors. It's now September, and there are developments in the penguin colony on Oamaru's back doorstep. The pair of little blues who discovered the wooden nesting box mated early and now have 2 hungry mouths to feed. One parent guards the chicks, while the other is always fishing. Every night, the hunters raft together in preparation for their assault on the beach. And they are being watched. This nightly spectacle is such a phenomenon. It draws human observers. Purpose-built underpasses allow the penguins into their colony, whilst keeping the people out. Wave after wave of penguins hurry ashore, seemingly oblivious to the spectators who are asked to stay silent. These wild penguins are starring in their very own Truman Show. In Banks Peninsula's Flea Bay, in a burrow at the top of the steep cliff, a white-flippered penguin sits on 2 eggs, whilst her partner is at sea. These penguins work on a 24-hour rotation. So if he makes it back tonight, she'll go fishing tomorrow. But down on the coast, there's trouble for this evening's returning penguins. A fur seal has moved in. They've been known to kill white-flippered penguins, Cornered, these little birds try to hide. And let the seals sort out their own troubles. Eventually, the penguins make a dash for their usual pathway home, using the approaching dusk as camouflage. In the Auckland Islands, the yellow-eyed penguin pair have laid 2 large eggs. And for the next 43 days, they'll share incubation. The yellow-eyed's roster averages 2 days on eggs, 2 days hunting at sea. Today, it's the female's turn to go fishing. A predatory skua shadows the female penguin on the beach. Skuas won't attack adult yellow-eyeds, but they are one reason eggs and chicks are hidden away in the rata forest. As the female penguin heads off to sea, a sudden spring storm hits Enderby Island. In this subantarctic land, penguin eggs will fail if exposed to the cold. So the male diligently endures the squall. In Milford Sound, the Fiordland-crested penguin dad now nurses a fluffy 2-week-old chick. The male preens his chick while they wait for mum to return from fishing in the fjord. When a delicacy like krill are abundant, penguins are adept at using their flippers as underwater wings to hunt efficiently. When the Fiordland-crested mum has a belly full of fish, she returns to the nest to relieve her patient partner, who greets her with joy. They swap places. And now mum can feed their hungry chick. At the colony outside the fjord, on the coast, there's an eerie atmosphere. Males sit on silent chicks, too hungry to even beg for food, because the females are long overdue. The El Niño weather pattern has driven away the bait fish these coastal penguins normally hunt. There's little the fathers can do, as their chicks starve beneath them. At last, a female returns after an epic 3-day foraging journey that took her nearly 100 kilometers from land. But is it too late for the coastal Fiordland-crested penguin chicks? following weeks, spring turns into summer. And the crested penguin colony on the Fiordland coast should be full of crashing chicks. But the coastal forest is silent. It seems few of these chicks survive the El Niño-induced famine, and scavenging weka exploit the tragedy. When their offspring die, the adults desert the nests and return to fishing for just themselves. In contrast, the Milford Sound penguins are healthy and well-fed, with excellent fishing inside the fjords. These diligent parents have successfully increased their population by 1. Over on the east coast in Oamaru, one almost fully grown chick pops out of its nest, closely followed by mum. Its fluffy down is molting away to reveal its adult plumage beneath. His mum pecks him, possibly a message that soon he'll have to fend for himself. Before dawn, the adults make their way back to the water. Now, it takes both parents to catch enough food for their chicks. With many hungry mouths to feed, the daily grind never ends. December in the Auckland Islands also marks the beginning of summer, where the temperature will get to a balmy 14 degrees Celsius. The female sea lions have arrived on the beach at Sandy Bay, ready to give birth. And the huge dominant males fight for the females they will hold in their breeding harems. In the safety of the rata forest, the yellow-eyed penguin eggs begin to hatch. Escaping the egg is a chick's first challenge in life. They have to do it alone, from inside the shell, and it can take over 24 hours. Two chicks are now totally reliant on their mother's warmth and protection, while they wait for their dad to bring them their first meal. But to get home, he needs to cross a violent battleground. And there is already one casualty. The fishing party assesses the situation nervously. And then, the group makes a break for it. In a somewhat undignified manner, they reach the safety of the meadow. Trailing behind, an injured penguin struggles ashore. He may have lost his foot to a sea lion, or even a great white shark. Sheer determination propels him up the beach. Some penguins are born survivors. Back at the nest, the male feeds his chicks their first meal. Pre-digested fish and squid. While the chicks seem fit and healthy, it's rare for both to survive. So these parents need to work extra hard if both chicks are to reach independence. On the mighty Banks Peninsula, at the top of the steep Flea Bay Cliff, a female white-flippered penguin now broods 2 half-grown chicks. She's used up all her food reserves feeding the chicks, so the family anxiously await the male's return for the next meal. In the bay below, the fishing party returns. And they've attracted the attention of a giant petrel. These birds are aerial assassins and will take out penguins as well as fish. The petrel's precision is impeccable. Two share the prize. And tonight, one penguin doesn't make it home to feed his hungry chicks. One month later, on the Banks Peninsula, the locals take full advantage of this bountiful summer. But at the white-flippered penguin nest, it appears only one chick has survived, with only one parent's care. Her white-striped flipper is evident as her adult feathers take over from fluffy down. At the water's edge, adults mingle. One chick has made the journey down the cliffs. She's almost ready for independence. Though it's never too late for some discipline. In the southern port of Oamaru, where little blue penguins live on the city's doorstep, January is a busy time. The adult penguins return home from the day's fishing, utilizing their special pathway created by human neighbors. But today, the leader notices something amiss. He scans the area for danger, but eventually decides it's safe to continue. Little blues breed like rabbits, and El Niño cycles actually increase their success. This pair is going for round 2. Looks like they'll squeeze a second clutch of eggs into a single season. The chicks from the first cycle are now 8 weeks old and display their adult plumage. They've been kicked out of home. So free from parental boundaries, they gang up, leave the colony, and roam the mean streets. Some juveniles brawl on the streets. Others break and enter. But naive to the dangers of the city, they could quickly find themselves in strife. It's midsummer in the subantarctic Auckland Islands now, and two fat yellow-eyed penguin chicks constantly demand food from their parents. A group of diligent parents head off on the morning shift. It's long been thought that yellow-eyed penguins are solo hunters who dive deep for bottom-dwelling fish. But today, something remarkable is about to unfold. As the penguins descend, a school of bait fish appears. And suddenly, the penguins switch to hunting mode. This is the first time this behavior has ever been filmed. The penguins attack the bait ball from beneath, using natural buoyancy to propel them up into their prey. This collective hunting strategy suggests yellow-eyed penguins might be more opportunistic than previously believed. It's likely it's this versatile nature that allows them to survive the extremes of the Southern Ocean. There is another penguin species that lives down here on the subantarctic islands. This is the eastern rockhopper, a name the species has earned for obvious reasons. They belong to the same crested penguin family as their Fiordland cousins. But their head crests are more spiky and disheveled. It looks like this rockhopper missed his mark and landed in the mud. Fortunately, their colony has an ensuite bathroom. Rockhoppers like to keep their feathers clean and free of parasites. But maybe they also bathe for pleasure. The rockhopper's breeding season is almost over. Their eggs hatched back in December, and the chicks are now quite large. Like all social penguins, chicks from the different nests band together and form a creche. In these gatherings, they can explore, practice their social skills, and develop independence. It seems like this year has been a successful one for the eastern rockhopper penguins of Auckland Island. On the dark streets of Oamaru, a gang of delinquent juvenile blue penguins play a dangerous game in the city. But because these young birds are no longer fed by their parents, it's not long before hunger compels them to take their first steps towards adulthood. Instinct drives them to the shoreline. and they disperse to find their own place in the world. The Fiordland crested penguin parents were the first to start their breeding cycle and the first to successfully raise their chick to independence. Now, the Milford couple take a final dip together in the fjord on their back doorstep. With their job done, these two penguins will soon go their separate ways. Until next year, when they will most likely team up again to raise another chick. In the Auckland Islands, the yellow-eyed penguin chicks are also on the cusp of independence. A week ago, they looked like this. Now their adult feathers are in, with just a tuft of down left. And the yellow eye stripe won't develop for another year. Their parents haven't abandoned them just yet. But at 3 months old, this care could end any day. Soon their carefree days will be over, and they'll need to follow their parents' lead and start hunting for themselves. On Banks Peninsula, the white-flippered adults begin their annual molt. For 2 weeks, as their feathers are replaced, they are unable to swim or feed, which makes them irritable. But they can grumble together. With burrows in short supply, these two males shack up alongside each other to wait out the molt. Down by the beach, one white-flippered penguin youngster explores on her own. In a shallow stream, she takes to the water for the first time. The stream leads to the sea. And now, confident in the water, she makes her departure. New Zealand's penguin chicks are given the best start in life by parents who are tenacious in the face of adversity. Every successful generation they raise ensures this land remains Penguin Central.